came to the Earth. And this is the true version of it. This is how it actually happened in real life. Okay? And so basically what happened was there was the Big Bang. It was a huge explosion and everything in the world was created. And all these particles of rock were flying around and stuff, and all the elements were created in a split nanosecond. And this one chunk of rock was just this meteor shower was hurtling through the atmosphere, hurtling through space at the speed of light, and one rock just split off from it, just completely went off on its own, and that we call Earth.
Change.
We call Zorb, and
Change.
we call Mercury. And Mercury was flying through the space on its own, and it was this tiny ball of rock, no bigger than the size of my fist.
Change.
No bigger than the size of an elephant. And it was going along, and it was speeding around, and it was spinning. And because it was spinning so fast, it gathered all this gravitational field pull to it. And all these other rocks just started attaching itself to it, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Change.
And it got smaller because little bits of rock were flying off it. And so each individual rock was then only the size of a pea. And all these pea-sized rocks were just sort of floating around, and they created this tiny meteor shower. And then, as they were floating through space, they came to a huge star, and it was absolutely massive.
Change.
It was the size of the universe itself. It was that big. It was literally huge. And these little pea-sized bits of rock were floating towards it, and as they got pulled into it, they got spun around it at the speed of light, and they were going round and round and round and round and round.
Oh, shit.
And as they went round and round and round and round and round, these balls of ice from another meteor shower
Change.
started coming in. These balls of ice from another planet called Morta started going towards the sun. And these balls of ice were so small as well, they were also pea-sized, they were absolutely tiny. And they started spinning around the sun, but the sun wasn't hot enough for some reason to burn these blocks of ice.
Change.
But the sun was so hot that it burnt these blocks of ice. And I say burnt, it didn't char them, it just melted them. So there are these spinning bits of water, like liquid bits of water, just floating around space. And as these bits of water were colliding around and spinning around the sun, this huge star, as were the bits of tiny pea rock, they collided.
Change.
They, as they were spinning around with the tiny pea-sized rocks and the bits of water, they separated and they each became their own entity, and they became huge because the flame from the sun burnt the rock together, and the flame from the sun turned the water into a huge ball of steam. And as they circled round opposite each of the sun, they collided at one point, and they melded into one huge thing. And because the rock size was all this cavernous, it was a bit like a tonsil, if you will.
Change.
It was a bit like a flannel, and it was a sort of flannel with loads of pockets of air in it. And as it was going around the sun, the vapor of the water just collided in it. And because of that huge explosion of energy, there was this mass filling of all these cavernous holes, and the flannel-like earth soaked up all the water instantly. And then because of the explosion and the collision, it fired out of the sun's gravity, and it went miles out into space, where the two could cohesively form into one unit. The two could live together in harmony because the steam that was surrounding all the little pores then melted and turned into liquid. And that is how water first came to Earth.